Hello and welcome to Nationwide on the network service of the NTA. We're glad to have you join us once again. I am Lydia Ochi. We begin with the Federal Executive Council meeting, which has approved over 92.1 billion naira for immediate construction of the second runway for the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja. Minister of Aviation Hadi Sirika announced this at a media briefing after the council's meeting presided over by President Muhammadu Buhari. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports that Humanitarian Affairs Minister Sadia Umar Farouk also secured the approval of 14.2 billion naira for the training of NPAR beneficiaries, but we shall bring you details in subsequent bulletins. Senate has resolved to appeal ruling of the Federal High Court Umuahia, which nullified Section 84, subsection 12 of the newly amended Electoral Act. This is sequel to a motion sponsored by 81 senators, which explained that the judgment of the court, which described Section 84, subsection 12 of the Electoral Act as inconsistent with some sections of the 1999 Constitution, is incorrect. The legislators were worried that the judgment, if left unattended to, could become a big setback to the functions of the National Assembly.
Letting the judgment to go without concern will become a precedent on which any person could go to the court and obtain judgment to ridicule the good intentions of the National Assembly as an institution.
I want to urge that without much ado, I invite and request humbly that my colleagues do consider this motion as submitted.
Accordingly, the Senate resolves to appeal the judgment in suit marked FHC UMC CS 26/2022 for the court to set aside the judgment.
Those in favor that this prayer, the only single prayer as amended, those in favor of the prayer as amended, say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
Confirmed 7 nominees for appointment as members of the Monetary Policy Committee in the Central Bank of Nigeria. Meanwhile, the House of Representatives has resolved to petition the National Judicial Council, NJC, over the judgment of the Federal High Court Umuahia on the provisions of Section 84, subsection 12 of the Electoral Act 2022. House members, while debating the motion during plenary, described the judgment as an encroachment and usurpation which goes against the principle of separation of powers as enshrined in the Constitution. The House resolved to file an application to be joined as a party in the suit and appeal the judgment. It also asked the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice to tarry until the matter is settled. Secretary General of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, Hussein Ibrahim Taha, has held talks with delegates from some member nations of the OIC on the sidelines of the organization's 48th Conference of Foreign Ministers in Islamabad, Pakistan. Mahmoud Mohammed reports that discussions at the meeting centered on laying foundations for higher productivity and growth in member nations.
It is on the sidelines of the Foreign Ministers' Conference. They are foreign ministers, development partners and heads of delegation from member countries. Their mission is to facilitate capacity building in key sectors of their country's economy through regional integration and intra-OIC collaborations. OIC Secretary General Hussein Ibrahim Taha says, partnerships are key enablers of socio-economic development. Hence the need for member nations to take advantage of OIC's partnership with the Islamic Development Bank to invest in human capital development and social infrastructure.
Member states are really engaged in a number of discussions on a number of issues on the agenda of the OIC. OIC is not a religious organization. This is a political organization, intergovernmental organizations with a heavy agenda that deals with political issues, economic issues, cultural issues, social issues, issues related to science and technology, promotion of trade between member states. So we have a lot of opportunities, and OIC is ready to play its role in this regard.
As challenges continue to evolve globally, the OIC is committed to responding to evolving developmental needs of member nations. From Islamabad, Pakistan, Mahmoud Mohammed, NTA News.
Proceedings in relation to suspended Deputy Commissioner of Police Abba Kyari's extradition to the United States were stalled at the federal court in Abuja due to lack of service. The Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami's SAN, had filed an extradition application following a request by the diplomatic representative of the U.S. Embassy in Abuja. When the case came up for hearing, counsel to AGF Pius Akuta informed the judge that the case was for preliminary hearing. But Mr. Kyari's lawyer, Nureni Jimo SAN, told the court that he had not been served with relevant court papers. Justice Inyang Eko directed Mr. Kyari's lawyer to, upon service, respond to the court papers within 14 days and adjourned the suit to April 27th, following Mr. Akuta's undertaking to serve the necessary court documents on Mr. Kyari within 2 days. Mr. Kyari is to be handed over to the U.S. government over allegations of wire fraud involving Abbas Raymond, popularly known as Hush Puppy, an Instagram celebrity. The current fuel scarcity and its attendant long queues in filling stations has again brought stakeholders in the oil and gas sector to take a second look at legalizing artisanal refining of crude oil in the Niger Delta to meet local consumption needs. Ikechukwu Ndukwe reports.
Long queues at filling stations recently resurfaced due to scarcity of petroleum products, a situation an environmental activist Fine-Face Dunamine described as a blow to the nation's economy. Vice Chancellor of Federal University of Petroleum Resources, Ephraim Professor Rim Ruke Akpofore, and other stakeholders admit that local refined oil is safe but requires improvement in technology, which the Petroleum University is willing to undertake to safeguard the environment.
To see that the product they produce, Federal University of Petroleum Resources have tested the product to find out it is actually in line in terms of specificity with others that are imported into this country. So the technology is working. Over 55 million barrels valued at $2.21 billion were also outrightly stolen. To address this problem, the Nigerian Extractive Industry Transparency Initiative will endorse any measure, both local or foreign, domestic or national, creative enough to stop crude theft.
Today, the world is faced with energy crisis, we all know. And all the nations of the world are now looking to internal sources of solving their problems. It is part of the internal sources of solving these problems is the domestic refining, which we call artisanal refining. It is time for us to meet and regularize it for the purpose of serving the economy.
Nigeria loses millions of dollars to oil theft and sabotage through the activities of illegal refiners, a situation stakeholders feel can be ameliorated through legalizing the operation. In Abuja, Ikechukwu Ndukwe, NTA News.
First Lady of Nigeria Aisha Buhari has commended the International Atomic Energy Agency IAEA for launching the Rays of Hope initiative aimed at increasing access to radiotherapy for cancer patients in low-income countries. The First Lady was speaking at a meeting with officials of the International Atomic Energy Agency and other stakeholders led by the Director of Technical Cooperation of the IAEA, Professor Shaukat Abdulrazak. The First Lady expressed happiness with the meeting, which brought to the fore her direct involvement in cancer advocacy towards reducing casualties in the country. While acknowledging the desire of the IAEA to partner with Future Assured program towards addressing cancer in Nigeria, the First Lady reaffirms her determination to give necessary support towards sustaining this partnership in order to leave a legacy for the treatment of cancer. We now go over to Lanre in Ibadan as we continue with Nationwide. Lanre.
Welcome to Ibadan. As part of efforts to better the lives of people living with disability, a workshop on income generation has been organized for this special group across the 6 geopolitical zones. Rofia Animashan Badmont was at the event in Ibadan and now reports.
President Muhammadu Buhari's administration's commitment at providing for the full integration of persons with disabilities into the society informed the passage of the Discrimination Against Persons with Disabilities Prohibition Act 2019 to cater for the socioeconomic, educational, and health needs of this group of people.
Building their skill in entrepreneurship so that they can establish their own businesses.
Those three happen to be very lucrative skills and businesses that can conveniently, put a lot of people to gainful employment.
Participants at the workshop, drawn from the 6 clusters across the Southwest Zone, were encouraged to utilize the opportunity to bring them out of poverty and enable them to contribute their quota to national development.
Having been empowered by myself, also I should be able to empower others, most especially those who are still in the habits of alms begging.
Capacity building featured soap making, fish farm business, and cosmetics making, among other skills. In Ibadan, Rofia Animashan Badmos, NTA News.
As part of efforts to ease movements within federal institutions, the federal government has constructed internal road networks in some tertiary institutions across the country. Minister of Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, in a message to the event, noted that the federal government is committed to having tertiary institutions that can compete with institutions over the world in terms of infrastructure. Shola Wahid completes the story.
The minister, represented by Oyo State Federal Controller of Works, Kayode Ibrahim, explained that the federal government has intervened in the internal road networks of 46 federal tertiary institutions and handed over 29 with 17 other projects completed. He added that the gap of infrastructural needs across the country is being bridged by the present administration through gradual process of repairs, renewal, and construction of major highways, and it has now reached schools.
Actually, there are different structures that were rehabilitated, drainage system, and the road itself. The road is 1.2 kilometers with culverts, stone pitching, and the likes.
Staff and students of Federal College of Agriculture, Ibadan, appreciated the efforts of the federal government.
I must tell you that it was actually a God-sent project at the time we did it. The students, the staff, the IRT community, people in Akpata, everybody is benefiting tremendously from this project.
The quality of work done here is to the standard. We monitor the process from the scratch. We look at the mixture, especially the drainage. The mixture strength is okay, it's perfect.
Internal road reconstruction is scheduled in all federal tertiary institutions in the country. In Ibadan, Shola Wahid, NTA News.
Nationwide continues with Felicia in Jos after this break. Stay tuned.
Still on to Nationwide on the network service of the NTA. Welcome to Jos. Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Farouk Yahaya says the Nigerian Army will continue to evolve strategies to deal with emerging threats to national peace. He stated this while declaring open command and leadership training in Jos. Ndenyang and Deabagang reports.
Gathered here are general officers commanding and brigade commanders of the Nigerian Army brainstorming on ways to tackle emerging security threats.
Nigerian Army recognizes the current operational environment changing fundamentally.
have devised disruptive and aggressive way of engaging and negating our threat. Conflicts here have rapidly evolved to transcend the traditional domain with the cyber and media and assuming greater strategic relevance in the outcome of military engagements.
The training has as its theme building the capacity of Nigerian Army to meet contemporary security challenges in joint environment, the role of senior officers.
Training is key if we have to be professional and remain so. And training is not only also at tactical level, also at higher level. The training at this level involves seminars and workshops. That's why this seminar is conceived.
The theme of this first seminar is in line to the Chief of Army Staff vision of having a professional Nigerian Army ready to accomplish assigned missions within a joint environment in defense of Nigeria.
As part of the event, the Chief of Army Staff inaugurated a 16-room transit accommodation and the newly renovated officers' mess in Jos, Indenyan, and the Abuja. NTA News.
Benefiting communities of the federal government erosion control projects in Plateau State have described as timely the proactiveness of government in saving them from imminent disaster. Caleb Guchin visited some sites in Jos Metropolis.
This project may be familiar to those plying the Jos-Bukuru Expressway, with many passers-by contemplating on its significance. For residents along the banks of this hitherto uncontrolled gullies, they say the project aimed at mitigating the effect of erosion on their property is a welcome development.
The work is very, very fine, we thank God. During the rainfall, it has claimed the life of many people, but we thank God what government has done. This finger is 90% completion. This is the only section that the casting of wall is going on to be completed. Bioremediation is going to come up as soon as backfilling is done.
Plateau State Commissioner for Environment, Usman Idi, commended the federal government and the proactiveness of Governor Simon Lalong, which made the intervention possible in 5 different locations across the state.
So it means with the intervention, the issue of people around those places will be given different sources of livelihood, alternative livelihood.
The commissioner noted that Plateau State government has on its own embarked on some erosion control measures, with one ongoing in Dadin-Kowa, while the Ecological Fund Office has completed 2 located in Langtang South and Kanam local government areas. In Jos, Caleb Gochin, NTA News.
That's it from Jos. Lydia, he's back to you in Abuja for more on Nationwide.
Many thanks, Felicia. 3 days for the long-awaited convention of the governing All Progressives Congress. Stakeholders say no cause for alarm, as those in charge are in absolute control of the game. Chieftains of the party were speaking during NTA Tuesday Live on the state of preparations for the grand event come Saturday, March 26th. Abubakar Akwanga will tell us more.
The much-anticipated APC National Convention is around the corner, and party leaders are working assiduously to fashion out a successful plan for the 3rd national exercise since the party formation in 2014. Now, these stakeholders say the party groundwork has been perfected, and it is looking forward to the date with confidence and greater expectations that will make the party stronger and united.
Really, for us, it's a question of all is well that ends well. The APC is going to have a convention on March 26th. Delegates are excited. Members of the party are excited. The APC is going to pick its leadership on the 26th of March. The Eagle Square is buzzing with activities already. You saw some of it.
And the convention is the most important aspect of what we'll have to do to raise a new leadership for the party, to give it a new lease of life. So all the things that are being blown out, of course you know that in a political situation, those who don't want us to be in power, the other parties will begin to try to make mountains out of molehills.
High-level consultations, reconciliation, leadership zoning are some of the key factors that now put the party on the path of making a huge success in the nation's democratic history.
It's not just going to be picking up any individual to be in that position. They are doing it as it is expected in the ethos of democracy, making sure that the stakeholders who are going to vote, the delegates, that they support them. So that engagement has been going on, and we are quite impressed with what is happening, because nobody's anointing anybody.
Okay, so
we just want it to be democratic.
There's no anointed.
No, we're not going to do it. It's going to be a purely democratic process.
Marching in the month of March is a real moment in any struggle. As stakeholders say, the victory of the governing party starts with March 26th as a big step forward. In Abuja, Abubakar Akwanga, NT News.
Meanwhile, the National Assembly caucus of the All Progressives Congress, APC, is confident that the successful conduct of Saturday convention of the party will resolve current challenges facing the party. This optimism was expressed when some APC chairmanship aspirants visited Senate and House of Representatives. Former Governor of Zamfara State, Abdulaziz Yari, was one of the visitors.
We need people with energy. You need people with focus and people that are determined, and those that are trusted in the past with responsibility and deliver that responsibility. The nearer and the closer we get to Saturday, the better the prospects and our hopes that all of those challenges will become a thing of the past.
Similarly, Senator Mohammed Sani Musa also visited the House of Representatives to solicit support of members.
Where the constitution of the party and the guidelines of the party will be the pivotal, the antidote to any ill will that will come into the party. We will continue to face problems as a political party. So all I will plead with our colleagues, will listen to the instructions of our party leadership, and I believe at the end of the day, it will be glorious.
I cannot also talk better than the way the Deputy Speaker also spoke. But I want to also reiterate that we must remember that he is our own.
The APC convention is slated for Saturday, 26th March 2020 here in Abuja. The chairman of the People's Democratic Party Governors Forum and governor of Sokoto State, Aminu Waziri Tambuwal, has charged his party to play less on zoning arrangement, but rather concentrate on how to win the 2023 general election. While speaking at a meeting with former presiding officers of the state assemblies and House of Representatives in Abuja, Timothy Yusuf was there.
According to Governor Aminu Waziri Tambuwal, this meeting with former presiding officers of state assemblies and House of Representatives at his instance is like a homecoming, having belonged to that constituency before his election as governor. One agenda featured at the meeting involved soliciting their support towards his presidential aspiration in 2023.
What I am coming with, therefore, is my pan-Nigerian content. My capacity is not to you. My competence in handling federal issues and governance is there.
Former President of the Senate, Dr. Bukola Saraki, in a similar engagement, has met with the PDP caucus of the House of Representatives, where he told them to consider him being one of their own as former lawmaker to realize his dream of becoming the next president of Nigeria come 2023.
And in doing that, seek your support, not only your support, more importantly, your cooperation. This 2023 election is the most important election that will be for our generation.
Dr. Bukola Saraki also visited the PDP Senate caucus with a similar message. Timothy Yusuf, NT News.
Sokoto State Governor Aminu Waziri Tambuwal, who is also one of the presidential aspirants on the platform of the People's Democratic Party, says Stakeholders in the party have collectively agreed to embrace consensus candidate to provide qualitative leadership and direction for the country come 2023. The governor briefed journalists in Minna shortly after a closed-door meeting with Generals Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida and Abdusalami Abubakar in furtherance of his consultative tour. Suleiman Kodogi reports.
Held separately with the former military president, General Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida, and the former head of state, General Abdusalami Abubakar, were behind closed doors. Speaking to the journalists thereafter, Governor Aminu Waziri Tambol said he was in Minna to consult with the two elder statesmen and seek for their advice and blessings on his presidential ambition. He said though many aspirants on the platform of People's Democratic Party, PDP, have indicated intentions to vie for the country's #1 position, noting that only one person will emerge. The state chief executive, therefore, underscored the need for politicians, irrespective of affiliation, to close ranks and put the interests of the country first and work for its socio-economic emancipation.
We have agreed on that there's a need for us to really come together and lower the tension and make sure that we work as a team. It's a work in progress, and I believe that we're going to meet again to further that conversation.
Aminu Waziri Tambol also expressed concern over the growing security challenges bedeviling the country and advocated for the establishment of the state police that will serve as a community-based response team. In Minna, Suleiman Kodogi, NTA News.
Still on politics, the new Nigeria People's Party, NNPP, has fixed the party's national convention for March 30, 2022. The publicity secretary of the caretaker committee of the party, Agbo Major, disclosed this at a media briefing in Abuja. Again, Timothy Yusuf will brief us.
The new Nigeria People's Party recently dissolved its National Working Committee as part of efforts to reposition, reorganize and expand it to accommodate teeming Nigerians yearning for what it described as a change in government at all levels in the country come 2023 general election.
As Nigerians continue to embrace the NNPP, our great party has so far received well over 15 presidential aspirants and several aspirants for governorship, senatorial, House of Representatives, and State House of Assembly seats.
The party has successfully conducted ward, local government, and state congresses across the country. State congresses in Rivers, Imo, Plateau, and FCT were, however, suspended due to some disagreements. The caretaker committee said it is already reconciling members and groups in the affected states.
The Electoral Act 2022, which provides for a bi-modular voter accreditation system, BVAS, and electronic transmission of results, has renewed the confidence of Nigerians in the electoral process once again.
NNPP, Agbo Major re-emphasized, is democratic in its internal operations and urged aspirants on the party's platform to take advantage of its acclaimed democratic disposition to freely contest for its tickets, assuring them of a level playing field. Timothy Yusuf, NT News.
In another development, body of civil society organizations has continued to raise awareness for massive youth participation in the 2023 electoral process. The awareness came up during a strategic session between youth leaders of different bodies mainstreaming into the future of 2023 outcome. Youth mobilization for scrutiny of public figure vying for elective position and changing the narrative of leadership are parts of resolutions reached during the meeting.
And then let me paraphrase. The voter empathy in the country is quite low. We want to raise it. So we are saying that we would raise it up to 12 million votes. The Green Nigeria movement will raise that voter empathy. We would raise that conscientization, raise the awareness for people. You know, whether you like it or not, we are the movers and shakers of every society, the young people.
They appeal to key players in the nation's electoral process to ensure level playing ground and considerations to parties as activities build up ahead of 2023 polls. Let's now go over to Lagos. Kende has been waiting. Kende, it's over to you.
Lydia, glad to have you join us in Lagos. Traders and occupants at the popular Marina market in Akpongwon, Lagos, are counting their losses as goods worth millions of naira have been destroyed. Diana Ajale reports that part of the major Akpongwon bridge was also damaged by the fire outbreak.
Located on the heart of Lagos, Akpongwon Bridge is one of the most popular and a major route leading to different parts of the metropolis. Under the bridge serves as business arena, a place where you can find all kinds of items, including foodstuff at a cheaper rate, with influx of buyers from different parts of the country on a daily basis. The story this day tends to be different as almost all the shops under the bridge were razed by fire, which eyewitnesses say started around 2 in the middle of the night.
We have localized the fire, and very soon the fire will be off. Now, it is clear that we have some challenges, and the challenges is that we have a lot of containers under the bridge where we have the fire that is occurring. But however, we are able to localize it. We are putting it off, and very soon everything will be off.
The Federal Ministry of Works and the state government will determine how long it will take to get the road back into use.
Although no life was lost, as the prompt intervention of combined agency responders, we are able to curtail the inferno and prevented the fire outbreak from spreading to other buildings around the area.
For now, we cannot say this is what, because people will be saying one thing or another. We are not sure of that, because we are not started.
Experts, however, advise the public to take serious precautionary measures to avoid future reoccurrence, while also urging motorists to make use of the available alternative routes, as the affected Akpongwon Bridge has been closed at the moment to pave way for an integrity test to be carried out on it before the bridge will be reopened for use. In Lagos, Diana Ajale, NTA News.
Nigeria's search for homegrown COVID-19 vaccine will soon be over, with its recent selection among 6 African countries by the World Health Organization to produce their own vaccine. Ingenu Adam examines the nation's journey of searching for its own vaccine.
The development of COVID-19 vaccines restored hope to the world. They came in various brands, thereby increasing the number of available doses. Manufactured by the developed world, developing and underdeveloped nations found themselves at the mercy of the giants. Though the less privileged countries are receiving batches of the vaccine, concerns were raised about hoarding by the producing nations.
It is not really in the best interest of public health that the developed countries will now keep these vaccines to themselves.
Since the first recorded case in 2020, Nigerian government and researchers have been working tirelessly to develop a homegrown solution to tackle the virus.
We already have some funds, that about 10 billion that was allocated for local vaccine production through the Ministry of Health in partnership with private sector.
The narrative is about to change with the selection of Nigeria among the first African countries to produce the vaccine.
We have quite a number of researchers and scientists that have made breakthrough in various vaccines in terms of vaccine development and production.
I believe our researchers can then bring the brains together and then start, testing facts and then seeing what we can bring out of this.
As Nigerians await the commencement of the production process, they are optimistic that by the fourth quarter of 2022, the country will be able to meet the deadline for clinical trials.
In Lagos, Hingino Adams, NTA News.
And that's our contribution from Lagos. Obey is standing by in Benin to take over after this break. But before then, we'd like to remind you that you can follow this news broadcast live on our website at nta.ng/live and on our YouTube page at NTA News Online. You can also visit our Facebook page at NTA Network News, Twitter handle at NTA News Now, and on Instagram at NTA Network for updates.
Welcome to Benin. The federal government is intensifying efforts at harnessing benefits of water for domestic uses, agriculture and other aquatic resources across the country. This is evident in numerous water and agro-water-based programs spread across parts of Edo, Ondo, Delta and Ekiti states. Eugenia Ndubisi takes a look at these water programs as highlight of the World Water Day.
According to the United Nations report, over 2 million people live without access to safe water around the world, especially from the sub-Saharan Africa. To address this shortfall and to support achieving Sustainable Development Goal 6, which is water and sanitation for all by the year 2030, the federal government is intensifying efforts through its river basins to provide safe water, hence the construction of water projects by the Benin Owena River Basin Development Authority in parts of Edo, Ondo, Ekiti, and Delta states. This is to boost rural water supply and provide water for agriculture and other aquatic development.
There's so much water on the ground, and it is a source of livelihood that cannot be undermined. But over time, we've had practices that are tending, to pollute the underground water. And so we're calling on stakeholders or members of society to be conscious of the danger they put everyone else, by emptying effluents into the underground water.
Some key players also believe that the problem of non-availability of water as experienced in almost parts of the country.
For water to be sustainable, for water to be available to our people, we must take a holistic approach towards them.
Once we get water from the ground, by way of borehole or whatever, that water must be replenished.
World Water Day, observed every year on 22nd March around the globe, highlights the importance of fresh water and to create awareness about it. This year's theme focuses on groundwater and raises awareness of its exploitation due to human activities. Like Audrey Hepburn says, water is life, and clean water means health. In Benin, Eugenia Ndubisi.
And from the environment to agriculture. Have you ever heard of sac farming? It is a relatively new practice of growing crops, especially food crops, in sac bags. Agriculture experts say high level of self-sufficiency and increased food production can be achieved in Nigeria through this system of farming. Olubukola Adu reports.
With global food demand estimated to increase by at least 50% by 2050, and with the increasing rural-urban migration, sac farming is gradually gaining ground and contributing to food production in the urban centers. Meet Mrs. Oluwawemimo Tade, a trained nurse who retired from active service to embrace agriculture, concentrating on sac farming, where she uses sacks to plant yams, vegetables, cucumber, onions, pepper, among others.
You can make a lot of money, even from vegetable alone. If people know that they can get vegetable from you, fresh vegetable, organic vegetable, not the one with chemical, people will be coming to buy from you.
Investigations revealed that people are beginning to embrace these agricultural practices.
The vegetable I've been eating for quite some time now. We've grown using that method.
Most of all these sacks are being used by maybe from cement. Cement are some of the materials that are carcinogenic. So the person must make sure that the bags are well cleaned and the soil sterilized.
If you need regular supply of fresh vegetables and other food crops all year round, don't you think it's time to embrace sac farming like Mrs. Tade in Akure? Olubukola Aduwo, NTA News.
And that's it from Benin. The Nationwide continues with Lydia in Abuja. Good afternoon.
Many thanks, Obehi. The national policy on internally displaced persons that will mitigate the impact of displacement in the country has been launched. Ruth Agwele reports that this was during the maiden edition of the Humanitarian Open House organized by the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development in Abuja.
Federal government. We really appreciate.
It is the Humanitarian Open Day, and beneficiaries of the National Social Investment Programs are attesting to the life-changing experiences. The Open Day provides a platform for the ministry to synergize and communicate its progress and challenges with relevant partners in its journey of humanitarian interventions in the country, with the theme Coordinating for Durable Solutions, the journey so far.
The theme has been carefully chosen to allow the ministry to speak on its coordinating efforts, program of activities and achievements recorded, as well as the milestones being attained, results being delivered, and more importantly, the direct impact the ministry and indeed government is making in the life of Nigerians. I hereby
The National Policy for Internally Displaced Persons was also launched as part of efforts in providing durable solutions for displaced persons in the country.
We must commend the federal government for approving the legal instrument to provide a comprehensive framework for the protection of internally displaced persons.
The internally displaced themselves need to be at the center of everything we do. We need to preserve their dignity and their free will to choose what is best for them.
An equitable and stable Nigerian society that is proactive and responsive to humanitarian situations is believed to be the hope here and a driving force in meeting the needs of the vulnerable. In Abuja, Ruth Aguele, NTA News.
The National Open University of Nigeria welcomes admission applications from students anywhere in the country as it has limitless carrying capacity that conventional institutions do not have. At a media parley on the institution's operations, the Vice-Chancellor Professor Olufemi Peters indicates that at present, the university has more than 120,000 students studying various courses accredited by the National Universities Commission. The institution has also addressed the challenges of accommodating its law students into the Nigerian Law School, as over 1,500 are already in the school.
You study at your own time and at your own pace. That is our graduating circumstance. It's a little bit relaxed and it's quite flexible. No other university has incubation centers that we have in this country. Speaking, we have about 7 incubation centers. The essence is that by the time they finish their work, their study, they're able to apply this knowledge. All our programs have been accredited by the NUC. Our inmates, 25 of them are graduating this year, 1 at the master's level and 24 at the undergraduate level. And they are not restricted to any particular correctional center. They are across.
The university is planning to graduate 22,000 students in its 11th convocation. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has formally declared his intention to run for the 2023 presidential election under the umbrella of the People's Democratic Party. In his declaration, he called on Nigerians to stand in solidarity as Nigeria is a land of possibilities with a better future.
I offer myself to rescue the sinking ship. Under my captainship, this ship will sail to a brighter course by the grace of God. Under my presidency, I want to focus on 5 key areas: unity of Nigeria, security, economy, education, and devolving more resources and powers to the federating units. Under my presidency, there will be a new Nigeria where everybody has equal voice and is heard.
He added that his administration will be a transition from the older generation to the younger generation. The Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission is partnering consumer protection groups to raise the level of consumer education in the country in line with global best practices. Nneka Oko reports that infringements of consumer rights and a pronounced inadequate knowledge of rights is the driver of this new initiative.
The renewed vigor of the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission in raising the level of consumer education in the country is predicated on the fact that an informed consumer is an assertive one. The targeted group are people at the grassroots who are most vulnerable to consumer rights infringement.
It's a collaborative effort. It's something that we have to do together to educate Nigerian consumers on their rights and their responsibilities as well.
There are things we hear happening against the consumer or consumer abuses in the market, and nobody tells us until a consumer complains.
This engagement with the consumer protection groups is to sensitize them on their roles as partners in helping the Commission achieve its mandate, part of which is to enhance the capacity of consumers to better comprehend consumer protection and competition policy issues.
With this collaboration going to happen today, we as an organization would now find ways to address issues that now concerns consumers.
Some may choose in drugs are related, some we choose in different, so we can choose different places and achieve what we want.
The Commission hopes that with this collaboration and interventions, consumers would be empowered to seek redress when they feel subjected to unfair business practices. In Abuja, Nneka Oko, NTA News.
Next is Sports Update.
Minister of Youth and Sports Development, Sanda Dare, on Wednesday visited the Super Eagles training camp at the Moshood Abiola National Stadium, Abuja, charging the three-time African champions to go all out against their Ghanaian counterparts on Friday.
So I want to wish you the very